These are the 4 things that I did to go from soft to shredded and lose 15 kilos in just 13 weeks. And the best part is I did it all without having to give up meals out with my girlfriend or my mates, without starving myself and without having a boring diet. Most guys make these mistakes every time they try to cut body fat. So once you fix these 4 things, you'll be able to consistently actually start dropping fat and building muscle and finally sculpt the physique you want. So let's get into it. The first thing that I stopped doing is guessing my calories and actually started tracking them so I knew exactly what I was eating. If you were going on a road trip and you knew it was going to be 300 miles, you wouldn't get in the car and just hope you have enough fuel to get there. So when you go into a fitness journey, you need to think about it the same way. You need to know exactly what you're putting into your body the same way you'd monitor what fuel you're putting into your car. Because if calories are the fuel of your body, if you don't know what you're fueling your body with, how can you adjust that to then get a certain result? The problem is everyone knows to lose fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit. And a calorie deficit just means you're burning more energy than what you're consuming. And once you realize a calorie is literally just a unit of energy, this makes it a lot easier to understand. You need to burn more calories than you consume to lose weight, which means you need to use more energy than you consume to lose weight. So if you're not tracking and monitoring your intake, how will you ever know if you're actually in a deficit or not? And I hear a lot of excuses as to why people say they can't track their calories, but 2 of the biggest excuses that I hear is that it's inconvenient or it takes too much time. So let's unpack that for a second. If you think that tracking calories is inconvenient and you're unwilling to spend an extra couple of minutes tracking your calories before you consume a meal, then I would say that losing fat to you probably isn't a priority. Because the way that I see it, if you have to sacrifice 2 minutes of your time to make sure what you're putting in your body actually reflects your goal, and the feeling you've got right now of feeling unsatisfied with your physique every time you catch yourself in the mirror, or feeling unconfident when you're at a work party or you're out with friends and you're trying to wear your favourite outfit but it just doesn't fit how it used to. If you know all you need to do to fix that is track your food so you know what to adjust in order for it to fit your calories, so you can actually start feeling confident in those situations, that's not really that much to ask for. The benefit of tracking calories isn't only that it allows you to see exactly how many calories you're consuming so you know what to adjust, but you can actually start to learn more about foods, and it will educate you more as to what foods you want to be putting in your body and how that's then going to affect you. And this way you can still enjoy your foods because you just know the portion size to have. Maybe you can't have as much as what you'd normally have if you weren't trying to lose fat, but you know that you can still have it as long as you've tracked it and it's within your calorie budget. And there's no excuse not to do this because you can download hundreds of different calorie counting apps for free. So download one and for the next 7 days, track everything you eat and everything you drink. Get an idea of exactly how many calories it is you're consuming and make smart decisions based off the data. Now on the subject of calories, that brings me on to the next mistake. What most guys do is focus on how many calories they're burning in their workouts, which is completely pointless and something you need to stop doing. When I first started the gym, I used to always make sure I was wearing my Apple Watch every session, and if I wasn't wearing it when I got to the gym, I'd be heartbroken and feel like the workout was going to shit before I'd even started. Because I relied so heavily on knowing exactly how many calories I burnt each session, that if I didn't have that data, I started stressing and thinking the workout was pointless. And I've had clients say the same thing. They're adamant they need to burn a certain amount of calories within the workout. But what you need to realise is whilst these watches are great at tracking sleep, tracking your steps, and giving you a rough guidance, when it comes to tracking how many calories you're burning per day, they can be 15 to 50% out at a minimum. That means some of them are more than 50% inaccurate. And you're letting that dictate how you feel about your workout. And the worst part is, and again, I used to do this all the time, people will burn, say, 600-700 calories in a workout, and then they'll start thinking they can now eat those calories back. So they'll eat back the 600 to 700 calories that they've just burnt, which means the deficit you've just created, you've just wiped out, because the energy you've just used, you've just refueled it. And like we said earlier, you need to be burning more energy than what you're consuming. As well as this, if you've worked out your calories correctly, your daily calorie target will already take into consideration the amount of calories you're burning per day. And this is exactly what you need to create a deficit. So if you're eating back the calories that you're burning during your workouts, you're wiping out your deficit each time, and then you'll be left wondering why you're not losing any body fat, feeling frustrated with the lack of progress, and just keep in the same loop constantly where you're staying stuck. Once we've covered all these 4 points, I'll actually break down exactly how you can work out your daily calorie intake so you can avoid making this mistake and stop worrying so much about how many calories you burn. What you need to be focusing on when you're in the gym is your performance. You need to be getting stronger, getting fitter. And outside the gym, get a daily step count and focus on hitting that consistently. This way you're focusing on all the things that actually matter. If you're getting stronger, you're probably going to be building muscle. If you're getting fitter, it means your cardio is improving. And if you're hitting your steps each day, it means you're keeping your energy expenditure each day consistent. So you know that if you keep eating those calories, your body will keep responding in the same way. And if you're eating in the right deficit, that means you're losing fat. Now, the third thing you need to stop doing is constantly changing your training style. It really is as simple as this. By focusing on your diet, you're going to be in a calorie deficit, which means your body is burning fat. But in order to sculpt and shape your physique, you then need to start weight training so that your body can build muscle. So you don't need these fancy HIIT workouts, you don't need to sign up to a fucking High Rocks, and you don't need to spend your Saturday mornings in a boot camp class. What you need to do is follow your calories consistently and start weight training consistently. Then you're losing the fat and building the muscle so you can achieve a lean and sculpt muscular physique as you go. So you don't just end up looking skinny and soft once you've lost the fat. With social media, it's amplified all the fucking nonsense that people spout, especially with how big Hyrox is nowadays. And if you're watching this and you don't know what Hyrox is, then don't look it up. I wish I could go back to your time. But the people doing Hyrox is preaching about how in shape it gets. That's not how they got in shape. They got in shape through focusing on their diet, and if they're muscular, they probably followed a weightlifting program and then started doing Hyrox. But they'll sell you the idea that that training style is what you need to get in the best shape of your life. And it might work for some people, but don't sign up with me if you're one of them people, please. But when it comes to a cardio on a fat loss journey, there really is no need to gas yourself out, because the fat burning state for your body is 75% of your maximum heart rate. And to work this out, you just do 220 minus your age times by 0.75. And there you go, you've worked out what heart range you need to be sitting. Then you just hold that steadily for a duration of time, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. For me on the recent cut that I've just done, I did 2 half-an-hour sessions and that was it. Because I was locked in with my diet and I was following a consistent weight training program, I only needed a light sprinkle of cardio on top of that to burn a few extra calories, be into a deeper deficit. And with that, I ticked along and lost over a kilo a week. And finally, the fourth thing that you need to stop doing if you want to start seeing consistent progress is rolling into each day with no set plan. It's all well and good if you have this big goal of losing 10, 15, 20, 30 plus kilos, whatever it may be. But if you don't have a daily set of non-negotiables that you follow, then you're not doing the small 1% improvements which are going to add up over time and compound into a life-changing result. So if you roll into each day and you just wing your diet, it's bound to fail. When I first started tracking calories, I used to do this all the time. I'd roll one day into another, into the next, and I'd have no set plan of what it is I actually wanted to eat. I just tracked as I went and I hoped that I ended up at my target I'd set myself. And then when I was over my target or under my target, I'd be beating myself up and I'd be stressing about the fact that I didn't hit it. And now I wouldn't be making the progress I wanted. But when I look back on it, I hadn't set myself up for success. So I don't really know how I was expecting to just magically succeed. You need systems, you need daily targets, you need non-negotiables. And this can sound overwhelming, but let me break it down so it's really easy to understand. You need to find a consistent rotation of meals you can have. Like I said, I used to roll into each day and I'd just track as I went and then I'd be gutted when I didn't hit my goals. Whereas if you know you have a rotation of 3 to 5 different breakfasts, lunches and dinners that you can just have on repeat, that hit your goals and you can build the baseline of your diet up of that, then you can just tick along and have that consistently and know it works for you and your body. Sure, it might take a few weeks for you to build that baseline and find out what works for your body, but over time, that should be your goal that you're working up to. The extreme example of this is Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know if he still does it, but he used to have the same t-shirts lined up in his wardrobe, so when he woke up in the morning, he didn't have to decide what t-shirt he wanted to wear, and he could just wear the same outfit every day. Maybe you don't need to go to that extremes, but you should be following a similar approach with your diet. You will just end up feeling fatigued with the amount of decisions that you have of what to build your diet up if you don't have simple, repeatable systems you can just go to. It removes the guesswork and you can just follow a plan. But by doing this and not having a strict, rigid meal plan that you can follow, it still allows for that flexibility. So let's work out exactly how many calories it is that you need to consume per day so you can start seeing consistent results. Step 1, get your body weight and times it by 22. Then you want to multiply it based on activity. 1.2 if you live a pretty sedentary lifestyle and you're sitting around a lot of the time, think desk-based sort of thing. Times it by 1.4 if you're likely active, so maybe you work a desk-based job, but then you always make sure to go out for a walk in the morning or evening. 1.6 if you're moderately active, so you work a pretty physical job or you go to the gym consistently. Or 1.75 if you're very active, so if you're working a job that's on your feet and you're training outside of that. That is going to be a rough estimation of your baseline calories. From there, if the goal is to lose fat, you want to minus 400 to 500 calories, and that'll allow you to drop around 1% of your body weight per week, which for most people will be up to a kilo a week. Now, download a calorie counting app, punch that into your target, and start tracking everything you eat, and make smart adjustments based off your diet right now. So they're the 4 main things that I stopped doing and what I started to do instead so I could consistently start to drop body fat, and they're the same 4 mistakes that most guys make every time they try to cut body fat and then wonder why they can't. If you fix these and put the actions into place that I've laid out, you finally start dropping body fat consistently and actually see the changes that you want. You build the muscle, you shape your physique, you cut the body fat. And I can say this confidently because I've spent nearly 7 years doing this myself and coaching hundreds of guys to do exactly the same thing. So if you want to know the 5 biggest lessons that I've learned in the time, and trust me, these lessons would have saved me months of not seeing progress, click the video on the screen and I'll walk you through all of them step by step and give you some actionable steps as to what you can take away from it. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one.